Hello, my name is Nico Smoke. So this video is not planned at all. I have to go to work in an hour. I've been trying to get back into my old Wattpad account from like middle school and I managed to get in and I'm so excited. I joined August 9th, 2013. So I was 13 years old. I didn't write fan fiction. I wrote novels. I wanted to be a writer for like the longest time. This was like kind of my first foray into like publishing my writing and like having people react to it, so it was really cool. I was a big like YA fantasy reader as a kid, so that's the stuff that I wrote. I had a couple other stories that I'm assuming I deleted. These are the ones that are left. I have three like published stories and then one draft, which is pretty short. That's the only one that I've read again since I opened this up. These two I think have two chapters, but this one has 22. We're not going to go through all that today, especially because, again, I have to be at work soon. Eat, sleep, fangirl, repeat. Haha, JK, there's no sleep for a fangirl. If you want to get me to talk, ask about my fandoms. After that, you'll have trouble shutting me up. I know I'm not the best writer in the world, obviously. I like writing medieval stories for some reason. I have a weird obsession with Pirates of the Caribbean music. Lost in my mind. Ooh. No free advertising on my page, thank you very much. I remember writing this and I remember like wanting to go somewhere with it, but I just didn't know where it was going. Like I said, this is the one that I've reread through today, and honestly, it's not bad. Like I thought it would be a lot worse than it is, but we're gonna do a dramatic reading of it. Hold on. April 6th, 2015. My mother used to always say the eyes are the windows to the soul. I often wonder what people see as our eyes meet for a split second. I wonder if they see what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, just through that short contact on the street or in a shop. Seems like such an absurd idea. Sometimes I fondly reminisce about the good times of my childhood, floating around the poppy fields with the other children like little sprites without a care in the world. My favorite spot to sit and watch the sun shine perfectly off the mountain tops as it set into the evening. And especially my mother's warm smile that could cheer me up even on my worst days. But then I remember why my eyes are so cruel. I remember when I lost it all, and my world fell apart. How my own ambitions cost me everything I ever cared about. It was so long ago. These people are so ignorant. They always want to believe they're right, but they're wrong about so many things. They don't know. The bus stopped abruptly, sending lead skid marks across the journal page and causing the aloof stranger to grumble in annoyance. What's the point anyway, he mutters to himself, shoving the worn book into his bag. No one will read it. With a sigh, he exits the bus, flipping up the hood of his sweatshirt to block the rain and clutching the tattered leather bag close to his chest. When he finally reaches the shelter of his rundown apartment, he tosses the bag onto the armchair and strips off his drenched sweatshirt before, on an impulse, he crosses the room to an old mirror hanging on the wall above a table. He peers into the mirror, unconsciously flicking wayward pieces of hair back into place. But all he really cares about is the eyes. They're piercing and tired, with the memories of countless years, but still shine with youth while his body crumbles under the weight. I remember what this was about. He laughs to himself. They were right. It doesn't get better. He walks to the kitchen, grabs a half-empty bottle of whiskey, and washes it down, waiting for the alcohol to take the pain away. So this guy is like immortal. I have a fixation on like immortal characters because I think it's just interesting, like having someone who has lived all that time, and like especially the immortal characters that are just like so over it and like don't care about anything. I love that. I liked that idea even when I was a kid, which is crazy to me. But like I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and I don't think I even knew like what happened to this character that like traumatized them so much. But like that I mean I don't think it's that bad. Like honestly. I mean, this seems like something that I would kind of write now. Like honestly. It's a bit dramatic, but it's still got a good vibe. I don't know. When I was going through my old emails, I found the email where I sent myself this edited thumbnail as well as another one. So I live in the South and we don't get a lot of snow, but we had like one year where it was like snow was everywhere, and I was like, I know what will make the perfect cover for this for my novel. That's me walking through the snow. And I was so proud of it. I thought it was so cool. 17-year-old Hayden Blakely is your average everyday high school student, but her world gets turned upside down when trolls crash her junior prom. That's right, trolls. Now Hayden finds herself on a journey of a lifetime to the magical realm of Garthia, where an epic story unfolds right before her eyes. Not a bad written bio, but like it's very like YA fantasy. Don't tell me that's what you're wearing, Evelyn remarks when I show her my plain prom dress. Oh no, I was very not like other girls. You could do so much better, Hayden. It's all I have. I shove it back in my nearly empty closet. I sit on my bed with a sigh. Prom is in less than a week, and the only dress I have is too simple, too long, and honestly, not that attractive. But it's the only dress I own. My god, I'm not like other girls! Because I'm a dude. If I had it my way, oh my god. If I had it my way, I'd wear a graphic tee, Vans, and jeans. But sadly, I don't. Evelyn has always been the fashionista in our relationship since it first began one day in kindergarten when she commented on my shirt that she said was so 2 years ago. Ironically, we've been friends ever since. We're polar opposites. Her exotic, I don't know if you can say that word anymore, and outgoing style is much more appealing than my I'm too lazy to keep up with the latest trends so I just wear a bunch of old t-shirts style. Then we need to go shopping. Evelyn, I call her Eve, sweeps her long chestnut hair over her shoulder with the effortless beauty and grace of a model. If I tried to do that, it would look like I'm trying to swat away a bunch of frizzy brown bees that are buzzing around my head. Oh my god. Eve sachets over and grabs my waist. Okay.
Rain on me, tsunami.
And when I say shopping, I mean rummaging through my old clothes. She pulls me to my feet and drags me out the bedroom door. My family lives in the only tiny house in a large suburban neighborhood in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know why I picked Charleston, but okay. Our dilapidated, traditional home is dwarfed by the modern mansions that make up the neighborhood. Why this is the only average home, I don't know. I asked my late... Oh, I have a dead mom! I just really hit all the cliches. I asked my late mother once when I was 6, but all she said was that it belonged in the family, and to tear down this place would be like destroying our heritage and blah blah family blah blah pride. I wasn't really listening to the rest. In my early years, I had the attention span of a peanut. You still do, bitch. Anyway, I guess the only reason my family really wants to stay here is because it's already paid for, and we're all basically dirt poor. But the only reason I want to stay is because my best friend Eve lives right next door. Oh, so she's rich, yeah. Eve drags me down the creaky stairs and out the front door. I wriggle my wrist from her grasp when we emerge from the house into the scorching afternoon sun, but she keeps running over to her house that flanks mine on the right. No matter how many times I walk next door, just the sheer size of her house always knocks me off balance. Her house is one of those boxy ones with nice crisp lines and edges, the shade of white is almost blinding in the bright sun, and a shiny blue Mustang is parked in the driveway. I pause for a moment in awe before continuing after Eve to the front door. When I walk in, I'm met by the delicious coolness of the air conditioning. I may have been in the sun for only a minute, but this is one of the hottest years that we've had here. Eve's parents are in the living room sitting on the new-looking white couch, which joins the rest of the white furniture. "Hello, girls," her mom says with a practiced smile, as if she's been forced to smile a lot. I remember this for some reason, like this specific image of like them in her parents' living room. I don't know why. It's weird what my brain like has an image of, like still to this day. Both of Eve's parents have the same model look that she does, but theirs seems more forced than natural. Eve's mom has perfectly straightened caramel hair and clear blue eyes like her daughter, and her dad has neatly combed fair hair tied back into a ponytail and dark eyes. Her dad actually makes a ponytail look attractive and not trashy like some men look. Alright, bitch. Both are dressed like they're going to a fancy dinner, as always. They smile at us when we walk in, but Eve just continues up the stairs without even looking at them. She's usually like this with her parents. She tends to act like they're not there, hoping that if she ignores them, they'll leave her alone. I think this character was based off a friend that I had Actually, it wasn't, because I don't think I even knew her yet. I was one of those kids that had, like, rich friends, and I don't know why. I just, like, had several of them, and they all had really nice houses. Her parents frown, and I smile at them apologetically, as if it's my fault, and rush after Eve. When I reach her, she's already looking through a tub of old clothes, scanning things and tossing them over her shoulder, where they settle onto the carpeted floor like delicate falling leaves. No need for that. She keeps murmuring things like too frilly or too sparkly. I silently walk over and sit at her desk. I try not to disturb her while she's in the zone, and pull out my phone and start playing Minecraft. I was a gamer girl. I'm nearly finished building my farm when Eve yells, "Got it," causing me to accidentally murder one of my pigs. Based. I shut off my phone and look up. Eve is holding a sleeveless turquoise dress, probably about knee-high, with a white lace sash around the waist. She grins at me. "Is this simple enough for you?" I like the dress. It's really pretty. There's only one problem. I can't pull it off. I can't pull off dresses, period. I actually really like wearing dresses. Probably more now than I used to when I actually identified as a girl. The only reason I'm wearing a dress at all is because Eve is making me. However, I do my best to smile sincerely and say, "I love it." Eve squeals with joy and jumps to her feet. "I knew you would," she exclaims and tosses the dress into my lap. "Now try it on." 6 days later, Friday, May 30th, 6:43 p.m. That's a very specific time. I stare at my reflection in the cracked mirror in my room. Why is my mirror cracked? The dress Eve gave fits me as well as it did the first time I tried it on. Perfectly. I don't know what it is, but Eve always knows what will work for me and what won't. I think I look decent. Eve did my hair and makeup and gave me some cute white flats. I can't walk in high heels. But as usual, I look like garbage compared to Eve. Oh my god! She's standing behind me in her elegant navy blue gown, looking at both of us in the mirror. She grins her iconic grin, which is her sign to me that she's pleased with how I look. "You look gorgeous," she compliments. "You too." I never complain about how I look to her. Actually, I never really complain about anything, or I try not to. I may sound a bit whiny sometimes, especially when it comes to money, but that's to be expected from a 17-year-old teenage girl. I wasn't even 17 by this point, was I? I was literally just basing things off what I thought 17-year-old girls would act like. "Are you girls ready?" my dad shouts from the bottom of the stairs. "Yes, sir," I call back as I walk out of the room and start down the stairs, with Eve not far behind. My dad is waiting for us when we reach the bottom. He hasn't got out of his Verizon uniform yet, since he just got back from work a few minutes ago. I stay home by myself a lot because my dad gets home late and my mom is, well, dead. That kind of hits. I love that. He grins at us, a look of pride in his eyes. "You both look beautiful. Oh my god, can we fucking get on with it? Everybody looks great. Let's go to prom." This year's theme for junior prom is Starry Night. The Richmond Academy Gymnasium is filled with dozens of twinkling stars and streamers in all shades of blue. Tons of multicolored lights illuminate the dance floor, making the dancing students shimmer. The planning committee really outdid themselves this year. Oh my god. When Eve and I walk in, I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas, which is played every year no matter what, is playing, and everyone is on the dance floor. I can't fight the feeling. I got a feeling, you must say, that everyone's eyes are on me, even though I know they aren't. I always feel like that in public, especially in a dress. I pull down the hem of my dress self-consciously. "Wanna go dance?" Eve asks loudly over the music. Oh, sorry. "Wanna go dance?" We don't have dates. We're each other's dates. We're lesbians. Eve says it's because it's better to go as friends, but I know she just feels bad for me because I don't get asked. She had to turn at least 10 boys down. I nod and we melt into the crowd of dancers. Okay, didn't even get to the troll stuff yet. Which I don't remember that shit at all. 22 chapters of this I wrote. And I don't think I remember any of them. Luna thought there was no such thing as magic. That was until she got blasted back to medieval time. I spelled it wrong. I love medieval stuff so much, but I can't spell medieval. Honestly, that's kind of just me now. That was until she got blasted back to medieval times by a coin. Huh? Now she's caught in the crossfire of a battle between two kingdoms. As she struggles to find a way back home, she meets people from both sides of the fight, both good and evil. Will she make it home, or will she be trapped between the two kingdoms for the rest of her life? Or will she be trapped between the two kingdoms for the rest of her life? This story is told from multiple perspectives at various points in the story, although Luna is the only one that's told in first person. Why? That's weird. Ow! The stabbing pain in my side comes again, like someone poking me with a sharp stick. I can hear voices. They sound far away, their words lost in the sound of rushing water. Water? I think to myself. Last time I checked, I was at home. In Arizona. That's not the only weird thing. I don't even remember what I was doing at home today, or this week. I might have a concussion or something. I don't think that's how concussions work. That's like amnesia, but okay. The pain comes again. Okay, someone is definitely poking me. I open my eyes and my vision adjusts. I start to see blobs of green and brown. Wow, my head must really be messed up because I could swear that I'm in a forest. Someone is looking down at me, his expression impassive. She's awake, he says plainly. He looks in his early 20s. I hope I'm of age. If he's in his early 20s, me being Luna, the main character. His clothes look like something pulled directly out of Robin Hood. The cloth is red. I really like describing every detail of what people looked like, huh? The cloth is red and blue, and there's a golden eagle on the silver breastplate. He turns to his right. What should we do with her? A few seconds later, an older man with a gray beard, obviously his superior, kneels down next to him and looks over at me with thoughtful blue eyes. The man sighs. I suppose we could turn around and... I'm sorry to interrupt your little role-playing game, I say, as I struggle to sit up, but I really have to get back home. Listen, child, the younger man snaps. I don't know who you are, what you're wearing, or what this role-playing is that you speak of, but you do not, under any circumstances, interrupt your elder when he is speaking. Maleth. The older man puts a hand on his shoulder. That's a name. Do not let your anger get the best of you. Maleth looks down, embarrassed. Excuse my insolence, sir. For a second, I'm confused. Then I realize that they're not supposed to break character. I guess I'll have to go along with it if I want to get home. The older man looks at me and smiles, making his eyes crinkle. Excuse him. Anger has always been his greatest foe. Maleth's cheeks redden. My name is Arner. I'm the one in charge here. We will take you back where you come from. But first, might I ask your name and where you are from? My name is Luna Dragon. I'm from Arizona. My answer seems to have pleased him. Arizona? I've never heard of it. How unique. He seems genuinely pleased, like Arizona is the new Disney World. Come with me, Luna. He reaches out a hand. Me and my men will take you home. I take his hand. He pulls me up with ease and leads me towards a dirt road that cuts through the forest. Maleth follows behind at a distance. Waiting on the road are multiple carriages, each with the same red and blue with the eagle on it, and each led by a white stallion. The men all have the same color and crest as well. Wow, I think. They really went all out. Arner leads me to the biggest carriage. He opens the front door and motions for me to step inside. I step in and take a seat on the right side. Maleth sits next to me, but he goes out of his way to avoid eye contact. Outside, I hear Arner barking orders to his men. One word pops out. Miswin. That must be code for the exit. So I'm still dumb enough to be convinced that they're LARPing. I do think it's interesting that I chose to start the story here. I think that's honestly a good move. Some intrigue, some mystery going on, so that's cool. As I wait on us to move, I stare out the window to my right. They must have some really good prop people because this forest looks real. Presuming that the LARPing people wouldn't go to a real forest, they would make a forest. I catch a gray rabbit dart between two trees out of the corner of my eye. Then I have a terrifying thought. What if this is real? What if this forest is actually a forest? Wouldn't that be crazy? I quickly dismiss the thought as crazy, but it still looms in the corner of my mind. If this is real, then where am I? More importantly, when am I? That's so fucking cliche, but okay, I was a child. I need to be easier on myself. No, it's not possible. I snap back to attention. Oh, 4 minutes left, thank you. What the fuck is this ad? I snap back to attention as Arner steps into the carriage, ducking his head. He sits across from me. We'll be back in Miswin momentarily. I nod, but now I'm lost in my thoughts again. I double-check every city, state, or country that I can think of. I've never heard of a place called Miswin. I really hope he means Arizona. I nearly fall over as the carriage jerks into motion. Maleth snickers, and I shoot him the most vicious look I can muster. I can already tell that he'll be a complete pain, and I can already tell that I was doing an enemies to lovers thing. The carriage does a U-turn and goes in the opposite direction, following the dirt road. Suddenly, out of an abrupt yet peculiar fear, I reach into my pocket. To my surprise, when I pull it back out, there's something in it. I open my hand to study the unfamiliar object lying on my palm. It's an antique coin. It seems to be silver, etched with gold figures. On one side is a lion, and on the other side an eagle, identical to the one all the men in carriages share. I gasp as the movement of pictures flashes before my eyes like a silent movie. It must be from my perspective, because I see my grandmother, a gentle old woman, holding my small, smooth hands in her wrinkly ones. Don't need a roaster like that. The worn bracelet that my dad gave me on my left wrist. First we had Dead Mother, Now we have wise old grandma and gift from dad, who is probably dead. When she pulls her hand away, there's an object in my hands. I feel the cool metal of the coin against my skin. The image fades away and is replaced by Arner watching me with worried eyes. Are you alright, Luna? I smile and nod timidly. Yeah, I'm fine. I just zoned out for a minute. That didn't stop him from worrying. His eyes wandered to the coin. Also, I do want to say they're not really speaking in like medieval speak, which is a big pet peeve of mine in general. Like when you have like a medieval story and they're just like talking like normal people but like slightly more proper. Like, play it up a little bit. Put some like old English words in there. I'm guessing that is the cause of your trouble, he suggests, his voice peaked with an unsettling interest. Stranger danger. I close the coin in my hand and his eyes break their lock with it, leaving Arner with a slightly dazed look on his face. Why would my grandmother have this coin, and why does it have that effect on Arner? It reminds me of my family. That's not technically a lie. Arner, however, still doesn't seem satisfied. Why would your family have a coin with the crest of Dowen on it? He asked. I look back at him, confused. Excuse me? Malus scoffs, and I turn abruptly towards him. I wish he would just go back to ignoring me. He was much more likable when he wasn't talking. What? I snap. He looks at me for the first time with a satisfied smirk on his face. How do you live in Mizwen and not know the crest of Dowen, our mortal enemies? These are terrible names. The imbeciles who declared war on us 4 times just this year? I narrow my eyes at him. I didn't hear what he said is all. Obviously I've never heard of Dowen, but none of this will matter once I'm home. Malith rolls his and goes back to ignoring me. I turn back to Arner, who is still patiently waiting for me to answer his question. My dad is a bit of a collector, not a lie. How did he come across it? Arner is still staring intently at the coin. He bought it from someone. Could be a lie. Arner looks back at me. He seems concerned for some reason. Do you happen to know where he acquired it? His voice carries an undertone of urgency. I shake my head. Sorry, he didn't say. Arner's interest is a little off-putting. It's way beyond casual curiosity. The coin must be pretty special. I slip it back into my pocket for safekeeping. His eyes follow my hand until it disappears into my blue jeans. Of course I'm wearing blue jeans. He quickly loses... I'm assuming I meant loses. He quickly loses his anxiousness, smiles. What was I trying to say? Oh, okay. He quickly loses his anxiousness and smiles. Well, it's very odd for certain. You should keep it safe. It would cost a hefty price. His eyes tell me that there's a double meaning to his words, like it's some kind of warning. Thank you, I will. I give him a small nod to let him know I mean what I say. His tense shoulders relax. The carriage comes to a halt, and Arner goes back to his cheery self. Why do I say that like I know this man? I've known him for like a few minutes, and I'm like, oh yeah, just normal, cheery Arner. I guess I'm doing the same thing for Malith. I'm just like, oh, he's so annoying, even though I like literally just met him. He's trying to get the plot moving, I guess. Malith practically jumps out the window as soon as the carriage stops. Arner helps me down, and I take in the scene around me. Behind me in the distance is the woods we came from. They're most definitely real. That was the least surprising part of all this. Definitely. Why do I not know how to spell definitely? From the woods, the dirt road opens up and trails along the hills and plains until we reach the spot we're currently standing. In front of me is a wall as tall as a skyscraper with guard posts cut into the stone to defend the wall if anyone was crazy enough to try and scale it. Fastened into the stone wall is a giant wooden gate with ironwork covering the surface. As I watch, the guards stationed near the gate push it open. It takes all of them to move the gigantic doors, but what's beyond the gate is the truly miraculous thing. Nestled in a valley of hills is an archaic medieval village. I spelled it right that time. Peasants mill around, gossiping amongst themselves, shopping and working. A group of children chases a white rabbit around in a clearing. A throng of bearded men prepare for a hunt, checking their handmade bows and arrows for things that need repairing. Young girls giggle and sneak glances at the handsome blacksmith. Not much different from my time. Girls be horny. But the most interesting thing of all is not in the town. Standing majestically on top of a hill, looking over the village, is a castle made of lustrous stone that gleams in the sunlight, making it even more magnificent. The castle's rocky tendrils branch all along the face of the hill. Honestly, that description's kinda good. A hand on my shoulder brings me back to reality. Arner smiles down at me. We can take you home if you would like, wherever your home may be, but I'm sure Her Majesty would like a word with you. You mean at the castle? I ask nervously as I point to the top of the hill. Arner chuckles, making his shoulders shake. Don't be nervous, Luna. She can be fair when she wants to be. That doesn't help my anxiousness. He holds out his arm to lead me to the carriage. I take it, anticipating my visit with Her Majesty. So I got out of the carriage and then went right back in. Author's note at the end of the chapter. If you're reading this, you've successfully made it through my incredibly long first chapter. I'm sorry that I made you suffer through all that. Damn, have some confidence, girl. I do say stuff like that now still, but it wasn't bad, honestly. It was not bad. It was very typical, like, YA fantasy, but, like, it's not a bad start. And, like, the plot's getting going already. Like, we know in the next part, we're gonna go meet Her Majesty. The first story, I think, could have started, like, at, like, getting ready for junior prom. Because, like, a lot of it was literally just like, my friend Eva is, like, so much prettier and cooler than I am. I'm just a nobody who likes wearing graphic tees. We get even more of that, like, during the junior prom stuff, so we could just cut the first part. If we need to meet Eva's parents, which I think we do, because I think they're important later, then we can have, like, the prom getting ready thing at her house instead, because they live right next to each other. Or we could just go between the... Not that this really matters. I just couldn't find a good place to stop. That is a good place to stop. You said the stuff... I'm talking to myself. I said the stuff with, like, the coin and, like, got, like, a little hint of that exposition, but still left some mystery. Like, we set up the relationship with Malith and, like, Arner, who I'm assuming are going to be important. Like, I think it was honestly a pretty good start. The first chapter was written in 2015. Makes sense. And then the next one I added in 2018, which I don't remember that at all. Being royal isn't all it's cut out to be. The Vastals, that's a mouthful of a name. The Vastals should know. Not only do they have bothersome mythical beasts threatening their borders, but they have to deal with the new merging of their families, arranged marriages, war, betrayal, and a dozen other things that make being the rulers of Valeria 10 times harder. This story is told in third person from different perspectives. Feel free to give me some feedback below. I don't know why I mentioned, like, what perspective the story is told in. Like, you're gonna know just by reading it. So far we've hit, like, a lot of, like, tropes for scenarios, but oh god, I'm gonna be late for work. How long is this? Okay, it's not that long. Okay, I gotta speed through this. I have to be work at 5 o'clock. Eloise was not liking her new family. Oh yes, I remember this. I wanted to go places with this one. She was perfectly content with being Eloise Deander, living in a rural kingdom in the hills, with nothing to worry about except the occasional storm that threatened the agricultural lifestyle. But her mother, with the fierce motivation to eradicate the memory of her late husband, scouted out a surname to take. She looked everywhere she could think to look, from their quaint little hills to the snow-capped mountains in the far north. She had just about given up hope when, seemingly out of nowhere, a desperate widow King Rowan appeared with the prospect of a fresh start. So now they were here, as Gloriana and Eloise Vastal, far away from their beloved slopes, sitting at a new dining table with her new father and siblings. Eloise had never had any siblings. She was ecstatic when her mother told her that there would soon be 5 children sharing a house with her. She began to think that maybe it would do her well to have the challenge of being an older sister. Maybe it would be enjoyable. It isn't. Oh, how wrong she was. She had imagined 5 perfectly well-behaved toddlers that would treat her with the utmost respect and affection. The scene before her was nothing near that. The 3 youngest children were barely out of diapers, the oldest of the 3 couldn't have been more than 5, and the 2 youngest twin girls still needed something to sit on to see over the table. Eloise watched with displeasure as they secretly snuck their vegetables under the table for the dogs, who graciously lapped it up. Well, she thought with a slight shrug, children will be children. Fuck them kids. Now, the other 2 children were not as young as she had previously envisioned. They weren't even children. The oldest could have been anywhere near 6 years older than her. She made a note to ask their real ages. I don't think, for the record, I was planning on having a romance between the siblings. I hope I wasn't. I think it's in the next chapter that I wrote later, but the main thing with this one was that I wanted, like, the prince to have, like, a gay relationship with, like, one of the, like, servants or something, and it was supposed to be, like, a enemies to lovers thing. Her eyes wandered across the table to Nathaniel, the youngest of the 2. Earlier that same day, when Eloise and her mother had first arrived, he had greeted them in a polite manner as every prince should. When they had taken a tour of the castle, he led them through the vast, elegant halls with a keen smile on his face. Now, though, his true colors were beginning to show through the regal facade he had maintained so well earlier. His bright smile distorted into a sort of satisfied smirk His shimmering hazel eyes scanned the maids in a way that no prince's eyes should. He was slunk back in his chair with his cheek propped up on his hand, not even trying to hide his boredom. His insolence was enough to make Eloise resent him. Sitting next to him, Frederick, the oldest, glared at him with nothing but disapproval in his expression. I think Nathaniel was the one that I wanted to have the gay relationship, because he was like the little shithead sibling. Frederick seemed overly pensive to Eloise. Not once did the tension leave his shoulders. He had been this way even when they first met that morning. She could sense that he wasn't very welcoming to the idea of having another sibling around. Now the two brothers had gotten into a heated argument about the correct way to use the eating utensils. Eloise wondered how the children could be allowed to be so disrespectful. After all, she and her mother were technically guests. Eloise sighed and scanned her dinner plate. She had barely touched her food. What a waste, too. The food looked delicious and beautifully prepared, and it came on ornate, intricately painted china, but she just didn't feel hungry. The excitement of today has taken my appetite, she assured herself. So, as she didn't want to waste such lovely food, she followed the younger children's example and slipped it to the dogs. She silently excused herself from the table, but just as the door was within arm's reach, a voice deeper than that of the older boys at the table called for her to wait. She pivoted to meet the eyes of King Rowan, who she had completely forgotten about during the meal. She could feel everyone's eyes watching her too. The busy clamor of the room died down, so the king's voice rang and echoed throughout the dining hall. "Please stay a while, my dear. I haven't heard anything about you. If you are to be my daughter, then I must at least know your interests." He gestured back towards her seat with a stately sweep of his arm. "Yes, please stay." The voice was her mother's, cool but firm. There was an affectionate, motherly smile on her face, but to Eloise it held a harsher message. "Sit down and talk right now, or I'll punish you later." Reluctantly, Eloise made her way back to the chair and began to describe herself in the most interesting and exaggerating way she could. Author's note. Hey, I know this is a short chapter, but I'm trying to see if anyone likes it, so I know if I should continue the story. I'm going to continue writing just in case. And then I waited 3 years. But yeah, like I said, I'm about to be late for work, so I gotta wrap this up. But I hope you enjoyed me going through these stories. Honestly, I'm very proud of myself. These weren't that bad, apart from like, grammar mistakes and stuff. It is not nearly as cringe as I expected it to be. The first one is probably gonna be the most cringe, and that one has the most chapters, so maybe I'll explore that later. If you are also someone who wrote on Wattpad or AO3 or anything like that as a kid, I hope you take this as an opportunity to go back and look through all your stuff if you have access to it. But anyway, hopefully I don't get fired.